What's going on, everybody? Jayhow here. In this video, we're going to talk about Season 1 Diablo Immortal's Demon Hunter best build for solo challenge rifts. We're going to talk about the gear that you need as well as the skills you're going to use, so let's get into it. It's really important to note that your primary damage dealer is going to be your Crossbow Shot, so we're going to focus a lot on that. Your other abilities will impact pretty heavily. We're going to be talking about the primary gear and the secondary gear. Your primary gear, the stuff on the right side of the screen, and what you're going to need is the helmet, the Vision of the Lost. This one is going to help increase the duration of vengeance for each enemy that is going to be defeated. So taking those down can increase this, giving you a high amount of damage output. For your chest piece, the Heart of Vengeance, again, playing into vengeance, this is going to give you a vengeance cooldown of 15%. So this is going to help not only get that cooldown, but it's going to play very well with your helmet, so you have as much uptime on vengeance as possible. This is going to be really good for doing a lot of damage, especially as you kite things in to chokes and different ways that you're going to pierce, which brings us to our next item, the Hungerer. You can actually get this during the leveling process when you get to choose a legendary item. That's because this one allows Crossbow Shot to now pierce through enemies and strike enemies behind them. This is where a lot of your damage is going to come in with the mobility, because you can attack while moving as the Demon Hunter with your Crossbow Shot. You're going to be moving and angling a lot of things so that things line up in your favor. This is a really strong play for Demon Hunters, to line things up in chokes, kite things a lot, and move them around while using Crossbow Shot to pierce through those enemies for maximum damage while using that vengeance. One more piece that's going to go really well with this is Koff's Unrelenting Fury. These are your legs. During vengeance, every 2 primary attacks will cause you to launch 1 additional rocket that will deal some damage to a nearby target. This is really good for general clear, but it also works incredibly well on bosses when you need that single target damage at the end of challenge rifts. So having that bonus damage is going to be very good for clears in general, but especially so when you do get to that greater rift boss. Or shall I say, challenge rift boss. Now, these next 2 items are about preference, but if you're wanting to push the higher levels, then you are going to need more damage. But if you did like Breath of the Winter on your weapon, this can help allow multi-shot to fire a chilling effect to slow them down. Now, once you learn to play, I don't think you really need that, but it can help if you do need CC. What you should be looking for is Flame Spite. This is going to allow multi-shot to now do burning arrows. So it's going to flame, and that's going to play dot on them, which also means that you can stagger your effects and balance your multi-shot. Your multi-shot is great for pulling, but the more enemies you hit, the better. And then adding that to it and getting that dot effect is going to help take down large mobs that you're going to be grouping up. The reason Flame Spite is going to be the preferred one is because when you look at your shoulders, this is where some of your CC is going to come in. There are some Reign of Vengeance options you can go to, but this one allows you to empower it with Frost by using those Hailstone shoulders, because now you're going to apply that chilling effect. Having more than 1 slow isn't going to do you any good, so you put the damage on Flame Spite and the chill on Hailstone. Now, if you don't have one or the other, you can make that change out until you get those pieces to maximize your effort, so you have a little bit of CC and a whole heck of a lot of damage with these items. As you progress, you'll eventually want to have the full set bonus of War Rags of Shalbas, but because we are early in the game, it's not likely you're going to get all 6 pieces anytime soon. But what you can get at Hell Difficulty 1 are the boots and the belt. So if you're looking to get those, you can get those fairly early. You can get the boots from Fahir, since there are those from the dungeons. In case you didn't know that, you'll get the boots from the Fahir dungeon, and that's where you're going to farm that at. As far as the storm track for the waste, you're going to get those from the Forgotten Tower. So those are the dungeons you would need to farm to get those 2 set items early. When you do make it to Hell 2, you are going to go to the Mad King's Breach for the gloves, and then you're going to go to the Pit of Anguish for the necklace. When you do get to Hell 6, you're going to go to the Cavern of Echoes for 1 ring and the Temple of Namari for the other. When it comes to the skills, Crossbow Shot is a natural one for the Demon Hunter because you can kite while moving, meaning you can shoot and auto at the same time, so you can get this out. It's a great way to kite and line things up. The other thing we mentioned is Vengeance. This is on a pretty hefty cooldown, but if you get all these pieces, that cooldown comes down and you get to have more uptime so long as you're defeating enemies. This works really well because you are getting the pierce, and every primary attack that you're getting is going to launch 2 additional shots for additional damage, meaning that you want to make sure and group things up and get this as much as possible. Having as little cooldown time is going to help you get maximum amount of damage, but make sure and use this in the right areas, but pretty much use it on cooldown if you're kiting correctly. We mentioned Rain of Vengeance. This can be really strong for covering an area. If you are getting the slow on one area and you can do damage, make sure and put this in a way so that they are walking through it as they come to you. This is a fantastic AoE ability, some of the highest damage in the game. Also something that you'll be using on the Rift boss as well. If the Rift boss does have ads, make sure and save that for those phases once you learn those fights. Multi-shot, we mentioned that, getting that burning damage, that dot on there. This is great, a very wide spread. Another great AoE ability. So you have a lot of reasons that you want to group things up. For the crossbow shot to pierce, you want them to be in a line. You want to slow things down. You want to use Rain of Vengeance on top of them. And then you want to have multi-shot pierce through it all. So you have a lot of things that rely on grouping and straight shot damage, and you need to use that, which is where, again, crossbow shot comes in. As with any build, you do need to have some sort of mobility, and Daring Swing gets that done. This is just going to help you get around or jump over mobs. When you're in a choke, you back up into one, you jump to the other side, and then you shoot them down. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this. Make sure that you don't get caught without it, because the Demon Hunter is extremely squishy, and you don't have a lot of survivability options otherwise. Demon Hunters also work really well in groups because you are just pure damage, and you can contribute more by even tweaking just one skill to help with some additional damage, some additional CC, something to help out your team. We'll cover more about Demon Hunter builds on this channel, so be sure and subscribe for those. Until then, happy hunting. See you again.